to WION Business Masters, a brand new business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders. Well, we will uncover the trends and the tactics. And well, joining us today is a man who is a leading player in financial planning and investment strategy. He is also a business visionary with an extensive experience in the finance sector. On that note, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Anil Chopra, Group Director, Corporate Affairs and Financial Wellbeing at Bajaj Capital Limited. Welcome to WION Business Masters, Mr. Chopra.
Thank you for having me here, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Chopra, now you are a leading player in the financial capital with an extensive career spanning almost 4 decades. I want to, of course, first ask you about your journey.
Right. So, yes, you are right. I have been with the same company for more than 40 years now. I joined Bajaj Capital in 1984. And a lot of people ask me this question that how can you be with the same company for 40 years? And my answer is that if you can be married to the same wife for 40 years, or if you could be living in the same house for 40 years in the same country, why can't you work with the same company for 40 years? Because every year has been a new year for me. Right. Because I have seen so much growth happening around me that not only I have been part of the growth of my company, our economy, our country, also in turn it has given me growth. So 40 years have actually gone past less like 40 minutes. That's what I feel. The time has actually flown. So 40 years is not a long period. I feel that I have developed a lot as a person, and also I have contributed a lot in developing, our clients' overall financial fortunes, and also giving them strategies to boost their financial immunity. So that has kept me going, and I still feel that I have several more decades to go.
Absolutely, Mr. Chopra. Now, before entering the finance sector, you earlier had your expertise in the market dynamics and also investment strategies. Talk to us about how you transgressed from those 2 sectors into finance.
Right. So, as far as my qualification goes, I'm a chartered accountant by profession. I qualified as a chartered accountant way back in 1979. And before that, I am a commerce honors graduate from Delhi University, from Ramdas College in 1975. So initially, for first 4 or 5 years, I dabbled into industry. I worked in a manufacturing company. I also went abroad. I went to a Gulf country called Qatar, where I worked for an American company, which was into construction. And so the first ever university was being developed in that country. I was part of that finance group. But after I came back from there in 1984, and I met Mr. K.K. Bajaj, the visionary leader who had started this company, Bajaj Capital, I realized that I have found my, kind of destination. I have found where I wanted to be. You
are a pass out from DU, Ramdas College, like you mentioned. And if I'm not wrong, you're also one of the youngest chartered accountants at the age of 22.
Very true.
Talk to us more about your education journey, because you entered the financial sector at a time when the role that you came in as a financer was not really well known back then. So how did you tackle all of that?
You're absolutely right. In those mid-70s, there was a big trend to go for science subjects, or to become doctors, or to go for, physics and chemistry. And that's what, my elder brothers had also done it. But then, I am number 5 in 6 siblings, and my elder brothers and sisters, they decided that enough is enough. A lot of them have gone into science, so now the next one should go into commerce. So that is how I was actually given the commerce as a stream. So I did my BCom honors, and then I did my chartered accountancy. And through these courses and through these subject matters, I became interested, in the world of finance. And that is how I found my final destination in Bajaj Capital in 1984.
So, and if we can say your second home as well, or your first
100%.
home, because
no. I even say that I was born and brought up in Bajaj Capital.
Right.
So that's how I like to introduce myself.
Because you've also said in your previous interviews that if given a chance, you would even work on a Sunday.
Yes.
So that's your passion for the work that you do. Can you share some key milestones in your journey with Bajaj Capital Limited, which is almost nearing now 4 decades?
Yes, 100%. Yes. So when I joined Bajaj Capital, it was a small company. We had 6 offices and only about 60 people. And today we have about 280 offices and more than 5,000 people. So I have been part of this growth journey of Bajaj Capital, you can imagine. And within few years after my joining, I was given the responsibility of becoming the Chief Executive Officer, of Merchant Banking Division, which is now known as Investment Banking. But by the time, in mid-80s, I had started advising a lot of rich, young and middle-aged daily businessmen on their, financial matters. And I did some record-breaking transactions in those areas, the first 1 crore transaction, then the first 10 crore transaction. I'm talking about mid-80s, into bonds, into Government of India schemes, etc., which was quite unheard of that in those eras.
Back then.
Yes. Right. And then, of course, rest is history. In 1992, I was made the CEO of the company, Chief Executive Officer, and that position I kept for 25 years. From 1992 to 2017, and that is the period or the era when not only Bajaj Capital was growing as a company, I was growing as a CEO, but also our country was growing, from a mixed economy to a market economy. And that is how, all the reforms were happening. SEBI came into being in 1992, if you remember. And then also mutual funds started coming in a big way. Global mutual funds, like Franklin Templeton or Prudential, or Fidelity, they all started coming into India. We studied them, we took them to our clients. And that is how Indians started, dreaming big and converting those dreams into reality by going in for, such wonderful solutions like mutual funds, which were before that were unheard of. We only had UTI, if you remember, Unit Trust of India.
Right.
But then, and then subsequently, insurance sector opened up in 2004. And when IRDA was, given the authority of regulating the industry. And then after that, so many global insurance companies came into our country, including health insurance companies. And then finally, in 2004, PFRDA was made, which is pension.
Basically, you've gone through all the transitions.
Yes,
you
exactly.
The helm of everything.
Very true, very true. So all these new things which were coming up, we studied them, we took them to our clients, we made them aware of their benefits, and we managed their growth journey in a way that they were able to achieve their goals comfortably, and that continues to remain our singular focus and passion even till today.
Right, Mr. Chopra, and you've gone through so many transitions with 4 decades of work experience with Bajaj. Clearly, you say that it's just gone by within 40 minutes. Talking about the goal mantra of your company, in one of your interviews, you clearly said that you should treat your client as your own father who perhaps cannot earn again.
Correct.
Is that the principle that you focus on so that your clients can be with you forever?
Yes. So let me clarify. That's not what I coined, right? That was the fundamental basic principle given to us by our senior chairman, Mr. K.K. Bajaj. Okay. Mr. Kuldeep Kumar Bajaj, the gentleman who started the company. Who started the company Bajaj Capital in 1964. And as I told you, I joined in 1984, 20 years later. And senior Mr. K.K. Bajaj, even till today, he is still active. He comes to office every day. And these words are from him. And these words are told to every new person who joins Bajaj Capital the very first day, that please treat each client as your own retired father who doesn't have the capacity to earn again in life, and give him that advice which you will give to your own family. Right. So these are the ethical standards which we have kept. And that is what, has given us so much growth. That is what has given us the trust of our clients. That is what, our clients refer us to their friends and their relatives. And that is how our business has grown.
We have spoken about the principles of the company, but I want to know about what kind of principles you have been following for 40 years and perhaps also letting your juniors learn through that.
Well, my basic principle is that if you love your work, then you never get tired. Absolutely. Right? Then you don't see whether it is Sunday morning or a Saturday evening or, early morning or late evening. So, and this actually resonates with the Japanese concept of ikigai. So ikigai, as we all know, is purpose of life. So if you know what your purpose of life is, and if you are passionate about it, and if you are good at it, and if world needs it, then you never get tired of whatever you're doing. So I feel that my purpose of life is to educate investors about the opportunities, to understand their requirements and give them solutions to help them achieve their goals. You know, what are the goals? The common goals are children education, right? These days people have only 1 or 2 children, but they want to give them best education. Then children marriage, buying a house, buying a car, and retirement planning.
That's the basic necessity that
yes,
people
the five goals that I talk about.
Right.
Children education, children marriage, buying a house, buying a car, and retirement planning. And retirement planning being the biggest of it, right? That is the father of all goals. So these are the 5 goals. And I feel very passionate about helping our clients achieve these goals one by one. And also, while they are busy achieving these goals, it is also our duty to ensure that they minimize their taxes, right? That they do legacy planning, that they do next generation planning, they do real estate planning. So all this becomes completely, you know, what is imbibed in the fundamental principles of financial planning. That is the profession that I belong to, and that is the profession I take it as my religion. That's my religion. I have embraced it.
Absolutely, Mr. Chopra, like you should. Out of all the 5 goals that you've listed, I'm just curious to know which one tops your list.
Of course, out of these 5, all 5 are important, but retirement planning is the most neglected goal. People feel, you know, maybe of your age, that I'm only 26 or 28. Why should I worry about retirement planning so soon? But that is a mistake which people do, right? So I want to make sure that everybody in the country should start thinking about retirement planning from the very first salary. People might find it very boring, but no, that is how you secure your future. That is how you brighten your financial future. That is how you boost your financial immunity. That is from your very first salary when you start working, maybe you are 23, 27, if you start putting some amount, you know, in NPS or in some mutual fund SIP, and you take care of your all future financial requirements, including retirement planning, then your life is set. Then no one can, you know, then you will lead a healthy, long,
financially solid,
worry-free, carefree, tension-free, joyful, long, energetic, and you know, resilient life.
Just like you. Can you share some challenges that you perhaps experienced during your tenure with Bajaj Capital Limited?
Yeah, of course, the challenges are that some people have some misconceptions. You know, some people feel that, for example, stock market or mutual funds are risky. You know, so we need to dispel these myths. We need to dispel these thoughts that by taking certain calculated risks, you can actually make your future bright, right? So I give them this example that when you want to cross the road, every day you cross the road, right? For some or the other reason, there is a risk in crossing the road. But what you do, it's not that you don't cross the road, because otherwise you won't reach the other side. So what you do, you stand on the one side of the road, you look, you know, zebra crossing, no traffic coming from this side, no traffic coming from that side, then you cross the road. You take that risk. But similarly, in investments also, there are few risks, but if you manage them, if you mitigate them, if you understand them, then nothing can stop you from being super successful. So just educating people about readiness to take small risks, thereby making their future bright, that I feel is my duty and I must do it.
So you do believe that taking risk is extremely important if you want to grow further?
The biggest risk is not taking the risk.
That's a very valid point.
Yes.
But Mr. Chopra, just want to take a few steps back and talk about your initial journey. Before joining Bajaj Capital Limited, you worked with Midmac in Qatar. I mean, you were earning in dollars.
Correct.
So what motivated you to leave that lucrative job and come back to India and perhaps, if I could say, start from scratch?
You see, enough was enough. As a youngster, when I saw this advertisement, that opportunity to earn in dollars, you know, in working in an American company, I was excited, right? So I applied for it, I got the job, and I went to that, completely alien country, which is Doha, Qatar, and I worked there for 16 months, and I earned significant amount in terms of dollars. You know, in those, when I was, you know, my age was only 26, right? And obviously my parents wanted me to come back, to get married, you know, and to be with them. And I was also missing my family. I thought this experience is enough, that I have worked for an American company.
Right.
And my colleagues were, you know, Britishers or Lebanese, you know, or Egyptian. They were from all over the world. And I had great exposure. And I earned in dollars. I saved good amount. I thought it's enough now. I must go back to my country and serve Indians rather than, working for some foreigners. So that is what prompted me to come back and to look for a pure Indian company where I can excel myself and grow with it and be with my family, be with my parents.
If I can say, this reminds me of this movie called Swades, because the story is sort of similar to that.
Correct.
But looking back in your career, is there something that you would have done differently?
I feel I am blessed. I feel I am very lucky that I got this break, and just for the sake of taking 1 or 2 minutes extra, when I had come back from Doha, Qatar, and I was looking for starting my career in India, I applied for 3 jobs, and I was selected fortunately for all the 3 jobs, right? And but out of those 3, I selected the one where I'm still working, and this job was giving me the least money. Although you shouldn't make any inference that Bajaj Capital pays less money, but no. The other 2 companies were paying me higher money, but they were in different businesses that didn't excite me. Okay, so, and I thought that this is a company where we are dealing with general public. Bajaj Capital is advising public on how to, meet their financial goals. And then we are raising money for the entire industry. We were raising fixed deposits for companies like Reliance Industries, Hindustan Petroleum, Bharat Petroleum. So I thought, here is a company where it's a small growing company. I can grow with it. I will have an opportunity to meet with different individuals during my journey, and also I will be interacting with the entire industry, whether it is manufacturing industry or service industry or IT industry. So that is what attracted me, and the rest is history.
What is the most significant lesson that you've learned, and how have you perhaps used that in your everyday work?
Right. So we must know why we exist. We must find out what excites us. Yes, purpose of life.
Right.
What makes you jump out of the bed every morning, right? So, like I told you that I love to meet people, understand their requirements and give them solutions and give them this confidence.
So that gives you a sort of satisfaction.
Correct, correct. So that's what keeps me going, and I wish to continue to do that. And demand for such thing is huge, because there are millions of people out there in our country who have these aspirations and goals, but they don't know how to go about it. They don't know the strategies. They don't know the solutions. They don't know how, if they are, whatever they are earning, how much they should save. And whatever they have saved, in what kind of schemes they should invest. Whether insurance is good for them or investment is good for them. Whether mutual fund is good for them or bonds are good for them.
Because all these sectors are extremely confusing. There are times even when I get confused as where should I invest my money. Right. Keeping all the business talks and your journey aside, let's get to know you a little more, Mr. Chopra. Like I was talking to you before we start the interview, that in one of your old interviews, you said that if given a chance, I would work on a Sunday. But what do you do when you're not working?
Well, of course, we all have, our own hobbies to keep ourselves, kind of stress-free. So my hobbies, of course, include listening to music. And when it comes to listening to music, for some reason I like a variety of music, for example, right from Sufi to Qawwalis, to Bollywood, even to pop and, bhajans and, so different genres and at different times of the day, depending upon your own mood, that, gives me a lot of comfort. So listening to music is one of my favorite thing to do on a Sunday. And obviously, apart from that, solving some puzzle games. So I feel that it keeps your mind very active mathematically. So I have few mathematical puzzle games, downloaded on my mobile, and I like to solve, 5 or 6 of them. It keeps my mind very active, and suddenly it relaxes you also, and you feel as if you have achieved something, that you're still good at, doing some quick calculations and things like that. So I like to, and then obviously one big passion which I have is travel. And you can't do travel on every Sunday, but my work takes me around. So that is another reason why I loved working in Bajaj Capital, because by working in Bajaj Capital, I have been to some 70, 80 cities of India, all the important cities, whatever you can name, Bhubaneswar to Guwahati to Ludhiana to Nashik to Mangalore, to Salem, because all these places we have our own offices, and we love to go there. We love to meet our clients. We like to do conferences there, and we get to see culture. We get to see their local food, different climates. So this is work-related, travel, which
But
is
can
due to
also
Bajaj
relax you
Capital.
when you're
But
there.
apart from that, I like to take my own holidays and global. So I'm quite widely traveled, and that gives me a lot of relaxation. I made a list. The list is about some 37, 38 countries
Oh, not
that I
bad.
have traveled. But that doesn't mean there are a lot of countries where I haven't been.
Yeah.
So that quest is still on. Maybe whenever I plan my next holiday, I'll try and cover. For example, just a couple of months ago, I went to a country which I had on my target for quite some time, Finland and Estonia. So I spent 1 week there. And it was quite therapeutic. It was quite relaxing,
Right.
to go to different countries.
Apart from travel, are there any books or movies that have inspired you?
Yes, obviously, when it comes to books, earlier we used to read, the paper books, the hardbound books. Now these days, with the help of Kindle, and on your phone only, you get to see. So for last 2-3 years, my tastes have changed, and I have been reading, books, non-fiction books on prehistoric India. So, when Britishers were ruling India, there are some books which were written in 18th century, 19th century about what kind of society we were at that point of time. And when Britishers were coming in here as East India Company. So that is giving me, a lot of insights. So those kind of books I have read. But of course, in the past, I have read all fiction also, non-fiction also. And when it comes to movies, then obviously I've been a big movie buff throughout my life.
Hollywood.
And all genres, I love.
Right.
But my most favorite are, comedy and suspense. Comedy and suspense. These are the two the genres which actually give me, that good 2.5 hours pastime.
Right, Mr. Chopra. Now, if you could offer one piece of advice to all the youngsters who are planning to start their careers in the financial sector, what would that be?
Well, they must be passionate about it. They must find out their purpose. They must do this exercise of what excites them, what makes them jump out of their bed. So it is. They should attend some workshops. We also do it. So it's very essential that each youngster must find out that 1 or 2 things which actually, excite them, which actually make them passionate about it. Because if they find that, and if they start working on that, they will never get tired. And once they don't get tired, they're not only physically but mentally also they will always remain alert. They can live longer and with energy they can even cross 100 years also if they are doing something about which they are passionate and they never get tired about it.
And what are some mistakes that these young professionals should avoid when they're entering the financial sector?
Yeah, see, one is that initially giving too much importance to the package, and to the CTC and
like what we were talking about.
Yeah, and comparing, with their other colleagues, etc. That, or maybe some friend in the college, if he has gone past, etc. So that is that money will automatically be taken care of, provided you give more attention to your responsibilities, to your to your KPIs, to your personal expectation, what the organization has from you, rather than just chasing money. So that is something, and also some people, when I used to interview as a CEO, then straight away if some person will ask me, sir, what are your holiday rules?
Holiday rules, what is that?
Yeah,
what is
what
that
are your leave rules, it's a 5 days week or a 6 days week. Your working hours kya hai? 10 to 6 or 9 to 5, etc. I could feel that this person is
so
not very keen.
they're counting the holidays before they will start.
That if they are wanting to know this, that means they are a little skeptical, or they want to have more of a the so-called work-life balance. So that means they are little wary of it, that how many hours they have to put, whether the company has a tendency of making them sit late in the office, etc. And such people I would strike them off straight away from my list.
Right. But are you an advocate of work-life balance, or do you think
100%. 100%. Work-life balance is very important, but that does not mean that that if you are working on a Sunday, then you are spoiling your work-life balance, because it may so happen that on a Sunday, if you just spend 1 hour or 2 hours when there is no distraction, when you're not in your office environment and you have something from the office, think about it. If you just spend 1 or 2 hours and be very clear about it, I don't think you are disrupting your work-life balance, right? And some people say completely disconnect, on Sunday, that we will not do anything related.
Yeah.
If a client wants to meet you on Sunday because he is so busy, and if you say, no, I can't meet you on Sunday, you are finished. Because you are in a business where you are dependent upon your clients. Right. So our clients have offs on second Saturdays and Sundays, and they want to meet us then. And if you say, no, 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 it's Sunday for me also, I can't meet you on Sunday, then your business is gone. So one has to be flexible. One has to one has to realize that, in order to grow, you have to make certain sacrifices. But in long run, of course, you'll have a
You'll
much
reap the
better
benefits
career.
of it.
Yes, exactly.
Right, Mr. Chopra, thank you so much for being here with us on WION Business
pleasure.
Masters and sharing your illustrious career spanning almost 4 decades with Bajaj Capital Limited with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of WION Business Masters. Join us next week on another interesting episode of the show.
Yeah, one thing is don't get into the. You have to differentiate between appreciating assets and depreciating assets. Most youngsters earlier used to spend their earnings, their savings or investments into creating an asset which is depreciating. But today they have understood they need to remain invested in an asset which is appreciating.